Yesterday I went home. My mother had organised a mass for my father who died in 2018. So we had the yearly mass. We got together as a family. And some people were talking about the changes that were happening where priests were being moved around, which is normal practice in any diocese. That priests will be moved around to different places in the diocese to as priests retire. There'll be changes in posts and so forth. And they were just saying about a priest being moved to another parish in the diocese, and then they're talking about, oh, that priest that he's replacing, he was a megastar. He had 500 million views on YouTube. And I said, I don't know this priest. Who is this megastar priest? And they were saying, like, were you living under a rock, Robert? Do you not remember back in 2018? And I said, no, I honestly don't know who this guy is. This megastar priest who had been on some singing contest. And so anyway, I Googled him to see, and he was on the different shows and so forth. And I'm not here criticizing the priests involved. He's a very talented priest, and for all I know, a very good priest. Has an amazing voice, and he reached many people. But he was a megastar priest, seemingly. Now, afterwards, I wonder, well, why didn't I hear about him back in 2018? Why didn't I know about this priest? Or surely if he was a megastar, I wasn't blogging at the time, but surely I would have heard of this megastar who had 500 million views or something like this across different channels and platforms and God knows what. Well, the reason why I didn't hear about him in 2018, apart from the fact that in March that year my father died, and then in May 2018 we had an abortion referendum. So while we were campaigning for the pro-life cause, this priest was off singing in a singing contest. And if you look at some of the videos, they're there, and can you do a little exorcism there for us? Do a little exorcism, Mr. Nicey Priest. And then they were saying, what did they say? Oh, it must be difficult for you to sing in front of us who are all going to hell. This is what they actually said in the song contest. And I suppose, you put yourself forward for that, they'll kind of, make fun a little bit of your ministry. And again, I'm not criticizing the priest involved. I didn't watch I don't have national television in my house, so I don't have a television in my sitting room, so I haven't watched since 2018 any television. I have no idea about these song contests or dancing contests. I just don't watch television, and I couldn't be bothered informing myself about him. But seemingly a lot of people do watch this man because he's a megastar. And we saw this with Sister Christina, Swart Christina, initially in Il Voce. She became a megastar until she wasn't a megastar anymore, until she ended up, working in a restaurant somewhere, and she had left her vocation. And so much for trying to bring the gospel into the lives of people. Now, as again, I'm not criticizing people, but when we've seen this phenomenon of mega stars coming out, priests being megastars or religious, they become this global phenomenon, and sometimes it doesn't last. And if it does last, you need to manage it very carefully. In today's reading, our Lord ascends. We celebrate the Ascension today, and our Lord ascends to heaven, and he says, go and make disciples of all the nations. Now, in Greek, it's not the exact translation. I wouldn't use go and make disciples of all the nations. What the exact word in Greek is mathetusate. Mathetusate pantata etni. Disciple all the nations. To disciple, because it's using the word you, plural, disciple all the nations. That's where Christ sends us out, and to disciple them to what? To teach them to what? To practice what he taught them. his commandments. Love one another as I have you. Feed the poor, visit the sick, visit those in prison. To do what Christ did, to offer the sacrifice of his passion to the others in memory of him. This is what Christ left his disciples to do, to carry that message forward. And in today, you might be a mega star in this diocese, but did it renew the faith? Did it disciple those that you are working with? Because a priest has one mission, and this is very important. If you're ever going to be a priest, you have one mission: to be another Christ. To be another Christ. Christ was presented with the mega fame option, in the desert. He said, look, if you worship me, I'll give you all the nations, and you can have all of this, and you'll be famous all around the world. And Christ said, no, that wasn't his mission. Christ chose a very different way, because his kingdom isn't of this earth. And sometimes priests can overstep the mark and become the center of attention instead of making Christ the center of attention. That's who we lead people to. If we talk about the faith, if we claim to blog about it, we should, as much as possible, lead people to that encounter with Christ. And in encountering Christ, then people become firm in their faith. We have this sad phenomenon in Ireland where people will run around chasing priests, or, this person is doing it in praying over people, or healers, or stuff like this. People will chase certain figures in the Irish church. If somebody says ex-priest is down somewhere today, people will flock to him. And yet the greatest healer, the greatest encounter you can have is at the Mass, is the Eucharist. And, as a priest, you bring people to that encounter with Christ, his body, in the Eucharist. You let him heal. You let people encounter him, because he is real. He is living. And I personally don't think the priesthood should ever be turned into a semi-talent show. Okay, I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. If somebody wants to go on and do, something, I suppose discuss it with your bishop and see what they think. And, I'm not saying ruling it out, but the mission of a priest isn't to be a TV celebrity. To be, laughed at. How can you zap that guy down there? Do a little exorcism. These things are serious. Her faith is serious. It's not up for comedy. It's not a comedy show. So, I think it's interesting when I'm looking back at, this phenomenon that this priest became back in 2018. And we're looking at, at that time when many priests and bishops abandoned the pro-life cause, couldn't campaign for the pro-life cause, couldn't step out and say abortion is wrong. And we saw hundreds of thousands of baptized Catholics voting for the proposal to remove the right to life of the unborn child. That's what happened at that time. And at the same time, a priest going up there, he would have turned heads on this celebrity show if he said, now please pray for Ireland that they do not pass this abortion law. He would have probably slated. They'd probably cancelled him from the show. They'd probably, you're anti-abortion, you're right-wing, God knows what. They probably would have done that at the show if he'd have said that. And, that would have been the right thing to do. To put it into millions and millions of homes, the pro-life cause, that the child in the womb has value. And yes, no, it sadly the opportunity is missed. Now, I haven't mentioned the priest, and I don't want to criticize him. I was just interested in the conversations that faithful have. These are the conversations they hear. This mega priest, and now somebody else is going to come into his parish. How are they going to live up to the standard of this mega priest who's able to sing and so forth. And there's only one mega priest in the church. There's only one, really. There's only one priest, Christ our Lord, that people need to encounter. That's the person we need to make famous. That's the real encounter with him. What are his commandments? What did he ask us to do? His gospel in this time of confusion. Because if we did that, maybe you would have more vocations. Maybe people would be inspired to know him more. And I think a lot of people would be inspired to know him more once you open up the reality of that amazing encounter of Christ. People, their minds, their hearts, their intellect, they get captivated with this experience, and they want to know him more and more and more and more and more. And so, in this year of they're trying to renew vocations in Ireland. They're trying to renew consciousness of the vocation of a priest. My advice to people, I don't know if people have seen this, what the Dominicans are doing in Ireland. Let's put it up here. I do recommend, if anybody's thinking of the priesthood, check out the Dominicans. Let me see. Preaching truth for the salvation of souls. Can you handle the truth? Truth exists, only lies are invented. The passion for truth spares nothing. Seek truth, find beauty. Truth has only one mode of being. Truth has no expiry date. Truth doesn't come dressed in grey. Truth, the only safe ground to stand on. Why am I holding up these cards? Because when I saw them, I thought, wow, they really understand their mission. Dominicans are leading people to the truth, and they have a very balanced vocation in Ireland. They're not extremes, and they will give rounded formation on what is traditional and what the traditional faith of the church, and they have their Dominican rite, their ancient Dominican liturgy. They also say the Novus Ordo. I mean, they know the faith. They have a strong identity of what it is to be a religious and be a priest. And I think it's important now that if the Irish Church wants to renew, we need to focus on Christ, on him, on leading people to the truth, because Christ is the way, the truth, and life. So when you're preaching as a priest, you always lead people to the truth, which is Christ in every situation. That's your vocation. That's who you've given your life to. You might have the talents to be a singer, which is good. Singing is good in church. Singing is, it's a talent, and those who sing pray twice. But you're not a singing celebrity as well, because that's not the vocation of a priest or a nun, for that matter. I mean, we have to be pointing always in everything we do, especially in this time in the church, always pointing towards our Lord Jesus Christ in everything that we do. Ma the to sate panta ta et ni. Disciple you, plural, disciple all the nations. God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.